Hello and good morning. It's a pleasure to host you at the Do Big Digital CXO Round Table, a series of discussions with some of the marquee industry professionals and business leaders. My name is Ashu Agrawal. I'm the India advisor to Asia Tech Journal, co-founder of Grip Legal, and your host for today's session. Joining me on the panel is Mr. Tanjeet Singh. Tanjeet is the DGM SME Cluster Sales, Tata Tele Business Services. We have Azmat Sheikh, CEO of Bigly Technologies Private Limited. Sumeet Kumar, co-founder Commix. Mr. L.K. Pandey, Managing Director Ananya Seeds. And Mr. Chander Mohan, founder and CEO eAge EduSolutions. It's a pleasure to have you with us, gentlemen. The topic of discussion today is accelerating your journey through digital transformation. 2020 and 2021 now have been extremely disruptive and unreal years. Now businesses, no processes were prepared for a disruption with the sort. But what it also has done is that it's pushed us to accept technology, to imbibe technology in our core operating mechanics. Digital transformation has always been associated with technology, change predominantly. Digital transformation in business is a holistic approach to changing the way organization thinks, organizes, operates, and behaves. Digital transformation does accelerate the following aspects in the business journey towards transformation: consumer behavior, technology changes, business model, and society changes. In the face of unknown, technology changes are exponential. It is imperative that we take practical changes encountered seriously and align same innovations, trends with a user perspective. Digital transformation asks business to reimagine and rapidly realize new ways of working and satisfying consumer expectations. With that, I will move into having my panel members giving a quick round of introduction about who they are, what they do, and then we get into the deeper aspects of how their organizations have handled the disruption that happened, how have they imbibed technology, and how is it that they're looking at future. So my first guest, Tanjeet, it'll be nice if we can have a quick round of introduction from you.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Ashu, and pleasure to be a part of this discussion. And I would like to welcome all the fellow panelists and welcome you all, and hope you all are safe and in best of health. This is the really tough time which is going ahead. So I've been there with this Tata Daily Business Services for last 10 years. I've been working here as a Deputy General Manager, medium enterprise sales. And last 2 years has been a roller coaster ride for all of us. But the good part is that we being a part of the essential services has been able to take the business to the next level. Not only that, but we have been able to cater most of the organization during this pandemic whenever the ask has been there. Right. Thank you, Ashu.
Sumeet.
Hi Ashu, hi everyone. This is Sumeet. I have been a part of hospitality industries since 2009, and recently, nowadays, I'm developing a product because due to this unprecedented time, hotel industries and hospitality industries have gone down beyond the level of recovering. So I'm developing this product Commix to rejuvenate this hotel industry. So it will be soon out in the market. So it's in still developing phase. Past experience, I have been into co-working space industry because
Wonderful.
being into a hospital industry, so we have like this co-working spaces has done wonderful job for the uh, spaces or real estates which is not doing so good. So I've been continuously doing the innovations in different parts where the businesses are going low.
Sure.
So this is
Sure. Wonderful. Mr. Pandey?
Yeah, thank you, Ashu. I will bring certain experience, from agriculture and farming sector. I think last year agriculture has performed very well, and I saw that farmers were highly motivated, and and in this digital transformation actually had to play a major role. And you can see that last year hardly you can find any kind of disruption in food supply, uh, food, grain, vegetables, or dairy products. So this is only because of great performance in COVID period uh, from agriculture sector. And I will give a lot of credit to digital transformation in happening in the country. Thank you.
Wonderful. Chander?
Yeah, hi, morning everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. It's a pleasure to join a very distinguished panel. So, I run eAge Tutor. We are a education technology edtech company, helping people improve their communication skills for better career prospects. We started this more than 10 years back, and I think so when even during COVID time, I think people have heard of e-learning more, but we have been at it for more than a decade, and I think we are seeing people adopting technology in education very, very quickly during COVID time. And so all the trainings and education has moved online. So we work with individual customers, we work with corporates, haven't tried with governments yet, but we work with corporates and individual customers, and uh, help them prepare for better jobs and career by virtue of providing them training on English skills. So and we have a simple mantra. We already trained about 1 million people, and we are looking to train close to 5 million in next couple of years with a simple mantra that we want to help them to think in English, because अगर वो सोचेंगे अंग्रेजी में तो बोल भी पाएंगे. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think it's amazing to be between such a distinguished panel, right, and such diversity, right. I think we'll be able to do extreme justice to the topic of today, and trying to really sort of assess the impact and how things have changed, right, within the sector. So my first question, really, that I want to address before we deep dive into a variety of specific questions, is largely that. Digital transformation has really picked up around the COVID times, right? How things were, pre 2020, and how have things changed, post we hit the lockdown, and all of what we experienced. How have things been? So I'll request Mr. Pandey to go ahead. He's somebody who has been in the agriculture sector, and agriculture is going through a massive change at this point of time. There's a lot of institutionalization of agriculture which is happening. So, Mr. Pandey, would love to have your views on how has COVID changed the course of the industry.
Thank you, Ashu. When COVID lockdown and other consequences started, initially everyone had a lot of apprehension and a lot of uncertainty how things will go around. But initially, with very conscious decision, along with government machinery also, uh, we industry people taken our employees into confidence, uh, and then we try to keep employee as well as our customers, farmers, dealers, distributors fully engaged. We try to engage them with changes happening, and we try to show them that nothing is going to happen to their business, to their activity. And I remember when lockdown started last year, it was time of harvest. And I remember even I was connected to my own village, and I motivated my own villagers, my own brothers, that how they have to maintain the COVID protocol, or how they have to follow COVID appropriate behavior, and they should not allow disruption of their activity, particularly harvesting activity. Then harvesting happened, and they did it very well. uh, no major, even that time lot of labor shortage was there across the country, and particularly North India, when harvesting time was there for wheat, particularly. Then that happened, and people did it very well. Second, then we with the government machinery, we try to give all kind of passes, all kind of permission across the country, that there should not be any blockage for the movement of grains, for movement of the agricultural
Wonderful.
commodities, and
Wonderful.
that happened very well. And then next sowing season, when that was going to start, we tried to make continuous supply of seeds, fertilizers,
Mr.
other
Pandey,
agrochemicals. Yeah.
wonderful. Mr. Pandey, what I want to understand is how technology came in handy, right? Of what I remember is that in urban areas, the first thing that happened was that businesses went online, right? Largely because it was work from home, businesses went online, right? For a lot of
Yeah.
services industries, that was the norm and protocol, right? Agriculture is something which has a massive, physical engagement and footprint, right? While I understand the communication related aspects, right? What are some of those things that happen, for example, say in warehousing, in logistics? There's little that you can do in harvesting, right? But how did that happen, right? So, for example, did the government machinery move into saying that we're going to be in a contactless environment where you come in and you sort of sell your produce, and there's a digital receipt that happens, and literally all of that. The settlement happens through, say, a UPI infrastructure. What are some of those things that happened around that time?
Yeah, so in agriculture, you will be surprised that farmers were very agile to adopt these digital platforms. They
Sure.
started using it, and the payment it's not only a urban phenomena, online payment and UPI.
Sure.
So this phenomena has gone to villages also. So I think everything was uh, going online, and
Right.
people were ensuring that there should not be any kind of disruption. And
Right.
after harvesting, I mentioned here that we ensured that timing, maybe in different timings, like very early morning, then late evening, some shops were allowed to open. And one thing
Sure.
was that we brought uh, you know this agrochemicals also under
Right.
essential commodities, so that
Right.
seed shops and fertilizer shops, they should be allowed to open, and farmers
Right.
were allowed to move of course individually. And then I mean, they tried different kind of means just to maintain COVID appropriate behavior, as well as
Wonderful.
not allowing any kind of disruption at the
Wonderful.
farming platform. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Chander, edutech was one of the sectors which went through a sea change, right? Nobody had anticipated, right, that for a vertical or for a business, right, which was online education, online learning. It grew in a very consistent sort of a format, right? There was no sense of urgency in people adopting technology, right? People were very comfortable with the physical brick and mortar format of delivery and stuff like that, and online education grew in a certain format, right? Uh, and then happened COVID, right? And all of a sudden, everything just moved online, right? So I am sure these have been very very surreal times for the industry, but uh, help us understand, right? How have you imbibed digital transformation as an entity? And if you can, throw some light on the larger industry in terms of adoption of technology to improve delivery.
Sure. So, Ashu, I think what we have seen during COVID time is,
Sure.
for the industry, I think uh, the learning had to move to online by force. Okay, there was no
Right.
option available, right?
Right.
So
Right.
what we have seen in the industry is, schools, of course, were shut, so everything moved online.
Right.
Uh, for corporates, I think if I were to compare that to training, I think everything moved online and everybody was working from home. So
Right.
I think e-learning was by default the norm in the last lockdown and even in this lockdown, even the
Right.
current period. So I think what we have seen. So for example, I think for most students there wasn't any option. Okay,
Right.
they had to move online. They because e-learning was the only option. The schools were pretty
Right.
much closed. So what that has done is both for younger crowd, so anybody who's school or college going, or even for
Right.
the parents, it has made them realize that um, e-learning is as much beneficial or is as much effective as a brick and mortar learning or a
Right.
face-to-face learning. So
Right.
so everybody before COVID, wanted to only go to tuition centers or schools or institutes, and they felt that face-to-face was the only way to go. But I think a major change that has happened during COVID time is that people have understood the importance and gotten used to
Right.
um, gotten used to online learning. So that's a major change. As somebody says, need is the mother of all the inventions, and I
Correct.
think that edtech invention was very well accepted during this time. Um,
Interesting.
I see this for us. I see this for a lot of players. EduTech players, EdTech players have seen the traffic going up 5 to 6 times on their site. We have seen conversion cycles. So, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that conversion cycles are much shorter.
Right.
Cost of acquiring a customer has dramatically come down because of the scale that's building. So, I think it's become a norm.
Very
Um,
interesting.
Coming to eAge in particular, how we have adopted. So I think for us, we are a digitally biased company anyway. We are
Right.
online, right?
Sure.
So in fact, we never. I personally have been in the tech industry for good 30 years now, and I feel technology can play a very big role. So
Right.
uh, uh, so on one hand we have teachers who are working from home. So for us, we have got about 500 to 600 teachers who work from home. And when COVID happened, supply was never a constraint. Our
Right.
training classes kept going, um, without any interruption. Number one.
One.
But where we have changed is a lot of our back end support and quality teams were working
Sure.
from office. Okay. And by the way, many of them come from very humble background, and
Right.
they only have one room which is the bedroom, living room, and everything. So they have to work from home. So I think getting people to work from home with the use of technology, our own platform, it has helped us. So now I think they are better prepared to work from home. Uh, the other major changes happened is our call center has completely moved to cloud. Okay,
Right.
so all the delivery, customer servicing has completely moved to an online call center, and we don't need a
Sure.
physical space. And the last but not the least, I think the way we adopted uh, digital tools is we are engaging with a lot of our people and customers and
Right.
partners only online. So if you want to talk to somebody, a customer or a partner, or even your people, you get online on a video. Okay, and
Very
video has
interesting.
become the default. So I think digital, during this time, the adoption of digital tool has certainly accelerated, and
Wonderful.
we are keeping our teams motivated, running even employee engagement activities, fun, talent show, quizzes,
Very nice.
etc., keeping them
Right.
engaged. And I think we're using digital to the core to engage
Fantastic.
with people and customers, etc. So I think,
Right.
just to summarize, I think during this time, uh, education and training has by default moved to online, and
Sure.
it's here to stay. That's what I would
Wonderful.
summarize.
Wonderful. Tanjeet, I'm going to come to you, right? And like we discussed, agriculture, which is a massive sector. Like we discussed, education, which has seen a phenomenal growth, right? I mean, you are somebody who is literally empowering this change, right? You are empowering organizations to very quickly, uh, you know, adjust to that shift, right? And also working to build business continuity, right? What are if you could highlight some of those changes that you worked on across some of the other industries? How has Tata Tele helped businesses in this course of transformation? I think it'll be fantastic.
Right, Ashu. So, fortunately, we were being a part of the essential service in the market today.
Sure.
So, any of the business which has to run in the market today really needs a support from the telco side, right?
Sure.
And when this pandemic broke out, just to give you the heads up how we moved ahead.
Right.
When this pandemic moved out, we never realized that we have so many different laws in the country. Every state had its own law.
Right.
You find a lockdown in Gurgaon and you don't find a lockdown in UP, or you find a
Right.
lockdown in Mumbai or you don't find a lockdown in Bihar, right?
Right.
So the first challenge which we had is to manage our resources and how
Right.
we can ensure that our customer stay in line in terms of their business, so they don't need to worry about their backend part, because we need to
Sure.
ensure that our core network is running. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, the basic essential for any of the organization is to ensure they have a right set of connectivity. So
Right.
that's the first and the foremost bridge which we filtered it out, and we felt that, boss, this is the area we really need to work it out. And we
Right.
started managing our resources to it. That's number
Sure.
one.
Right.
Second, on the fact that when we also realized that the small medium enterprise is also looking it out as solutions which are are more price centric, as well as can make their life easy. So
Right.
I've been there in this organization for last 10 years, but in last 1 year we have launched almost 10 to 15 products, right? Maybe as a product as a services or a different version, or you would say that we have also diversified ourselves, compared to the what is the core services we are providing into the market, whether it is
Sure.
internet line or maybe MPLS. So we
Right.
moved towards that direction. We moved our focus towards the cloud set of services. We moved our focus towards the security set of services. So because a lot of organizations are moving ahead with the concept of work from home.
Right.
Although for this, and again this pandemic moved out, we were talking about more on the part of the hybrid perspective, right?
Wonderful.
But when this the work from home concept had, so companies were asking us, we have a challenge of how we can ensure the security. So we came across with the set of cyber security as a solution.
Right.
When the organization said we want to work it out our BPOs from home, what shall we do on that? So we moved
Sure.
ahead with the part of cloud phone services. Then we
Wonderful.
also were trying to support the government set of organization who are running across, maybe from the helpline to the COVID care centers or maybe the diagnostic centers. So
Wow.
trust me, we are strengthening most of the healthcare facility as on today, and we are keep on getting a lot of requests for them. Some of the examples are the RT-PCR test, which these diagnostic centers are doing. They want
Mhm.
this setup to be done on an immediate basis.
Right.
So for us, that's an opportunity. Moreover, that's a more of a sense of responsibility which comes to us. We
Sure.
have figured out how to go ahead with that. And if you'll ask us, we have created our backend infra on the digital perspective. How? Uh,
Right.
since we come under the supervision of the DOT, so the physical papers are also required from the end customer. So we have moved to the digital platform. So there's a digital cap which goes to the customer. A customer can sign it, and immediately
Right.
services can be started. So that's how
Wonderful.
we simplified our processes. Right, Ashu?
Wonderful. So I think Tanjeet, what is exciting to hear is that one, of course, is the diversity that you've been able to tackle. And I think and what I hear from you is that this has happened across sectors, right? Be it healthcare, be it government services, be it services businesses, be it BPOs, KPOs, and so much more, right? What is also heartening to see, Tanjeet, is that you've been able to streamline your own processes, right? So a company which is enabling other businesses to build, and basically providing them the strength to sort of digitally transform, is also practicing the same pieces, while they are, working to grow and become an able supportive partner in the process, and that's a wonderful thing, right? With that, I'm going to move to the second question that I have, right? Which is, what are some of the initiatives that your organizations have taken towards digital transformation, right? And is this here to stay? Sumit, I'll come to you, right? And if you could give us a perspective in terms of, you know, what are some of these initiatives that you have either taken or been a part of, right? And how do you see will they play out over a period of time? Are they here to stay, or is this something which is going to go on to become a permanent shift?
Uh, s- Hi, Ashu. See, for any organization, we have to see why we are going to, acquire this digital transformation. See,
Sure.
it's not about pandemic or non-pandemic situation. Yeah, I do agree with this thing that obviously due to pandemic situation, many businesses have gone down. So they need a digital transformation. But it
Right.
is not about the pandemic situation. It is for post-pandemic situation as well. In
Right.
the hotel industry or any other industry, for example, let's say insurance industry, if I take an
Mm-hmm.
example of insurance industry, the revenue, because insurance is something which you have to go to face and explain everything and then you have to sell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after this pandemic thing happened, now they have transformed their all processes through digital mode. Like they
Okay.
just they can sell it on the Zoom. They can just simply, they don't have so many paper formalities. They can just simply send few things and they can verify the same with OTP. So they have
Sure.
adopted. Why someone adopted? There are some key factors when why someone adapt this digital transformation. So basically, the first utmost thing for any business is for revenue.
Right.
Every business want to increase their revenue. So to increase that revenue, one, we have to identify the key thing which where we want to explore. Some people, like those who are in HR industry, they want to hire people without increasing the operational cost. So digital
Sure.
mode these things, like they can hire any person anywhere. So they don't need to have any go to have a physical interview or something like that. So they just
Sure.
simply send the paper, people can simply
So
send and
I'll
then they can.
I'll bring it closer, right? So I think fintech and and insurance tech is a completely different ball game, right? I think the way they have transformed is very very different, right? I want to bring you closer to home, right? You've been in the hospitality trade, you've been in the co-working business, right? How has that digital transformation, how have these industries adopted digital transformation? Or how have they
See,
digitally transformed? How have they shifted their business online, right? How have they shifted consumer experience, for example, online, right? Those are some of the pieces that I would want you to throw a little light on.
okay, so like first I take an example of co-working industries. See,
Sure.
co-working industries for basically for those real estates who are not working very good, because obviously
Right.
new real estates are creating every day and they have so much of facilities and everything.
Right.
So co-working, so with the digital transformation, they have created a common platform where they can book any space anywhere
Right.
according to their, like if you want a space nearby, so you can just book it through an online mode. You don't need to go there and you have to ask any dealer or somewhere that I want a space for my office. Nothing. There's no need of
Right.
it. Now they have transformed everything through digitized mode. Second is when it comes to hotel industry or hospitality services. Hospitality services are doing, they are now providing. They are not even keeping the menus right now. They
Correct.
everything they can provide you through the simple on the mobile. You just have to scan QR code and you will get all the menu and even magazines also. You no
Right.
need to, the product which I am developing now, I am adopting this, that I'm going to transform the communication method as well.
Sure.
Like I
Sure.
don't want people to pick up the landline. They just simply call there. I'm just going to provide this interface so that the people can directly
Correct.
connect through their phone only. So it is
Brilliant.
completely based on the digital tech. It is
Right.
not. I'm not adopting any analog technology or something or traditional method of tech. So
Right.
this all process is basically hospitality industry is all about service. So
Correct.
you want to experience, you want to increase the customer experience. You want to provide
Right.
them all the kind of ease that you can do that. So like this is the main purpose of the digitalization, that you have to provide the customer experience. Like when it comes to this hospitality services, so ultimate aim is to provide customer experience to next level. So there are other factors, like person can access or every department of the hotel through their phone only. So
Right.
they don't need to whether is inside the hotel or outside the hotel. There are few
Right.
challenges in the hotel industry, like you can communicate in the hotel industry when you are to a hotel. When you are inside the room, then only you can
Right.
connect with someone in the hotel. But even if you are outside, you can again connect with the hotel through your
Wonderful.
mobile only.
Right. No, I think I particularly like, Sumit. I particularly like the fact, of the how most of the food industry sort of very quickly pivoted into doing digital menus and doing digital ordering. I mean, digital ordering was something which was always there, right? Just the fact that you could very easily one access the menus, get into a restaurant without any contact, place your orders, right? And this was so much more flexible, so much more efficient, right? It was heartening to see how quickly had the hospitality industry adjusted to and moved from a physical environment into a digital environment, right? And I think consumers today have gotten so used to it that it's absolutely fantastic, right? That moves me to also a very very different question, right? Which is that of adoption. Now, adoption is basically in two forms, right? There's an external adoption, that is an internal adoption, right? And across some of the other questions that we've asked, everybody's tried to address, how the external adoption of a certain technology happened, right? What I want to understand is how has internal adoption happened, right? And Chandra, I'll come to you on that one, right? Is that how supportive has or how flexible has your workforce been? Given you work with a very large distributed workforce, right? In terms of adopting to this, right? I mean, I understand there are certain pieces of it that you are already doing, which was say the delivery side of it, right? And now here you are, which is where you can collaborate and you can deliberate, and then there are team meetings. How has that played out, right? So how has that adoption been, particularly in your business?
Yeah.
For
So, Ashu, as you rightly said, that I think for on the delivery side, our teachers all work from home. So I think from on that segment, we never had a challenge. It's always been by default. Uh, Quite frankly, for rest of the workforce, in sales, marketing, call center, quality, etc.
Sure.
I'll be candid with you. I think the first lockdown was very, very challenging. People just
Right.
did not know how to work from home or
Sure.
what are the simple ethics to work from home. Okay,
Right.
so all of us are from a elite background. We understand working from home. We understand responsibility. So I think it's for us it's probably very easy, but
Sure.
for them it was a very very new phenomena. But
Right.
I must say, we have got about 50 plus people who are who used to work from Delhi office and had to immediately
Sure.
work from home.
Sure.
So first month was very very difficult. I'll be very candid. Okay, but gradually I think people have adopted. People have
Right.
understood that it is going to be the new normal now. They have to work from home. So I think people have been very very supportive. And what we have done to encourage them to work from home is also we didn't make it very boring, right? So
Right.
every week I would get on a call, on a video call with everybody, and we will just have some fun time. Okay, so we engaged with them. We made sure we celebrated the birthdays of the week, and made some played some quizzes, and so to increase the employee engagement, we told them, hey, it's possible. And by the way, here's a fun time. So they look forward to the fun time towards the end of the week. And and then we found some hidden talents in the team who were who were a good singer or a good TikTok artist, and they the in fact we felt that we had a great bond by
Right.
engaging virtually, because in the office you walk around, you say hi, and that's it, and then
Sure.
you're locking yourself into your own cabin,
Wonderful.
right? But I
Wonderful.
think we engage, and this is one way we encourage
Right.
the and that's why the second phase of the lockdown, which is recent, I think has uh, helped us
Right.
keep the team motivated and
Right.
uh, adapt to the work from home environment, even though it's very
Sure.
very challenging. I hear stories of people, our people who may just have one small room.
Right.
Some guys are going out to the rooftop and to the terrace and calling. Somebody is sitting in the stairs and calling. Somebody is and these are real stories of SMEs. We
Right.
as SMEs don't get people from very elite backgrounds or higher end of the economic strata.
Chandra, I'm gonna come to the SMEs question in just a bit, right? I think because that's a
Sure.
sector which requires a completely different
Sure.
focus. And I understand, you are in that category, you experience it firsthand, right? But before I come to that, I actually want to bring in Tanjeet on this particular question, right? Is that when you're in an environment like this, right, when there is this abrupt disruption, right, or abrupt application of breaks that happens, right? There's this huge discontinuity risk, right? And especially when you're working with a distributed workforce, which essentially sort of every business experience, right? If not say 100%, a good 50, 60, 70%, were essentially working out of home. There is a business continuity risk, right? And it becomes so much of a problem, right? And then there are issues, right? There is lack of connectivity, lack of understanding of technology, and so on and so forth, right? Uh, Sanjeev, I know for a fact that Tata Tele, played a very, very significant role in maintaining that continuity, right? What is your, take on, how has this happened and how will this continue to improve, right? So business continuity is a big question, right? How is it that you are and your team on the ground are enabling it, ensuring that the output and performance is as much or equivalent to that of a physical ecosystem?
Right, Ashu. First, we really need to understand that the how the market has been there today for especially in the Indian market. So we logically believe in do it on my behalf rather than do it yourself.
Sure.
So that is something the thought which has been there in the market. So probably that
Right.
is something we really wanted to change it. This is
Sure.
only possible when your the digital part is well equipped. You make
Right.
it simpler, your processes, you make it very simple to adapt. It's more of a plug and play which you really need to bring it into the market.
Right.
So that is the area where we are working it out, and probably
Sure.
in last 1.5 year, that's where most of our services are there, which are more of a plug and play now. So it
Right.
becomes very easy for someone as a layman who is carrying a very, as Mr. Chander was mentioning, it is something the adaptation is really really critical. And most of the panelists are also saying that we are trying to ensure that our team members gets adapted to it.
Right.
So, for example, if today if I see that my son is taking up classes online, right? So now he knows that where is the the camera or where is
Correct.
the speaker, and I can start my classes itself. So that is an area where the it's more of a knowledge you keeps on get it the moment you get adapted to it. So,
Right.
and then you also need to make it a, the product which is more of a plug, very simple to understand that. So more of our services which we are launching today are more on a plug and play basis.
Wonderful.
So and also we are trying to ensure that there is less physical infra which is has to be placed at the
Hmm.
customer premise or at our and it is more on the cloud perspective we are launching most of our services, whether
Wonderful.
it is on the voice perspective, as I said, I mentioned in the past as well in my couple of previous questions. So the services which we are putting it across on the diversification perspective are more on the plug and play perspective that is
Right.
coming across. So it is very easy to adapt for any of our customers. And that is how it is going to be journey moving ahead as well. We are coming across with a lot of our new versions on the product side because we get the insight from the customer, what do they need, especially the SMB market. That is the
Right.
the area where people are looking it out a simple solution who can make their life easy and get their job done. So
Sure.
that's how we are. And whether it is on the perspective of network services, voice, cybersecurity, cloud services, managed services, all those product lines, whichever we are offering in the market, are going towards on the plug and play perspective.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Sanjeev. And I think that's a fantastic perspective, right? Because had it not been a plug and play infrastructure, had it not been a plug and play approach, I think the problems would have been very, very different, right? I think we wouldn't have been able to pull it off, the way I think we could manage to save businesses around these times, right? Mr. Pandey, I'm going to come to you, right? And given you work deeply in the agriculture, agri tech ecosystem, Uh, you know, how has digital transformation contributed to the SME ecosystem, right? Around your organization, around the ecosystem. SMEs have particularly been, slightly slower adopters of technology, right? And agriculture is something which is the way it is, right? It's possibly a slightly more slower moving, sector, right? So how have SMEs within the agri-tech space adopted to technology? How have they imbibed digital transformation?
Yeah, Asu, as my major experience comes from agriculture sector,
Sure.
uh, but by virtue of being chairman of chapter chairman of Indian Industries Association, uh,
Right.
Delhi chapter, I bring
Sure.
a lot of lot of insight from SME sector also, where
Right.
almost 10,000 MSMEs are our members, and
Uh-huh.
I mean, what major uh, elements you described, really they have those elements, and
Sure.
they are very tied with resources, manpower, finances, everything. So they have
Right.
to manage, and they are very smart to manage their organization within limited resources. That is
Sure.
their USP, I say. Uh, so when we were having a lot of regular webinars with our member MSMEs,
Sure.
we
Sure.
found that one major problem they had, shortage of labor because of fleeing away their labor from the industry. So and once that problem was a little bit started sorting out, then they started asking, I mean, for whom to manufacture, or how to
Mm-hmm.
start, if we are going to start the manufacturing, how to sell our product, because they
Right.
were finding lack of market during those days.
Right.
So we suggested that for marketing and sales lead, we started farming small groups, category wise groups, so that they can find buyers for them. So I have seen in country that whether it is agriculture space or SME space, I mean both are, I mean they are parallel, and they have very a lot of similarity.
Sure.
So what I observed that people started using digital uh, tools, whatever tools they were having access to. I mean, even if you go to farmer, you go to a small manufacturer, a small service provider. So I mean, sometime WhatsApp method was more handy to them, and then various webinar platforms started coming up last year, and you have seen their phenomenal growth and kind of adoption. And it was not overnight. I
Right.
can give credit to this phenomena. I mean, we had already precursor of this phenomena in the country. We had already started working,
Mm-hmm.
already started working for online payment. We had started using uh, uh, YouTube videos, training videos, to educate our people, engage our employees first, and then engage our customers through
Right.
this platform, through these things. So certainly, I mean, these matured during this COVID period. And as Chander said that uh, necessity is the mother of invention. So I
Right.
feel that this pandemic was the grandmother of invention. So grandmother.
Wonderful.
So I think that that's how, once it has started, it will start breeding and breeding. I mean, more and more generations will come, and this will keep maturing. And
Mr.
as
Pandey,
Taranjit
yes,
says
please, sorry.
that
Sorry. Yes.
that making things plug and play mode. I think
Right.
that's very important. That how we can we can reach to last person in the society. So that is the mantra of plug and play. So as simplify our tools, our platform, there will be. I mean, they will reach very quickly to the uh,
Wonderful.
masses.
Wonderful. Mr. Pandey, I think talking to you is always so heartening because you are able to give a perspective which is not just, say, for example, limited to urban market consumption, but also gives a flavor of how things are shaping up at an SME level and at the rural agricultural belt level, right? It's
Right,
fantastic because
right.
India exists across three, four tiers, right? And talking to you always gives that perspective. My next question, which is also important, is transformation has happened. A lot of businesses have transformed. One of the biggest, things that is also shaped up, one of the biggest trends that has also shaped up is a conversation around cybersecurity, right? That as businesses move, while adoption is step number one, do they really understand security? Are they prepared to handle a circumstance where they are hit, uh, and there is a risk that they're running, which they don't necessarily understand and realize, right? So how critical has cybersecurity become while this adoption has happened, right? Chandra, I'll come to you. Sumit, I would want your inputs. And I think, Tanjeet, it'll be nice if you could give us some of the case studies, towards the end, in terms of how has your team been able to help businesses get over the security related aspects, right? So, Chandra, coming to you first.
Yeah, thanks, Ashu. So I think cyber security and data privacy is very, very important. We deal with large customer data.
Sure.
A lot of our customers are from corporates, and they have their own customers who share data with us. So I think it's absolutely important. So the way we are adopted, we have managed this situation is uh, what the best way to for us to ensure that the data is protected and there's no security threat is we always go to very, very credible players. So
Sure.
hosting your data on a cloud server, I'm sure Tata has a solution. Others have solutions. So we have relied on Amazon. So for example, so we have hosted all our data on Amazon, and we don't compromise on the security. Secondly, I think as people are starting to work from home, we are giving them solutions that are um, plug and play. So for example, if somebody were to talk about cloud call center about a year back, people would
Right.
laugh at you. Okay,
Sure.
now it's
Yes.
become a norm. Okay, now everybody has to go there. So I think if you uh, create plug and play solutions from credible players, and don't cut the corners on cost, then I think it makes a lot of sense. And last but not the least, I think for a lot of the businesses, and this is true for SMEs, we don't know, SMEs don't know what are the plug and play tools available, just to
Right.
simply sell uh, or even secure your data. So
Sure.
they'll find a jugaad solution, and then they figure out there's a data breach. Okay,
Right.
so I think so going to credible players, protecting and keeping your data on secured cloud servers, and having internal policies where the data is not privy to people who don't need to know.
Sure.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and we have been doing that to protect our customer information.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Sumit, what are your thoughts about this?
Sir, see, if I see if I talk about data privacy and cyber security, I have to say that we are very weak in that. Reason being, small SMEs cannot afford their own server, their own security. They cannot do everything on their own. They have to depend on other things, other
Right.
providers. So most of them are from, like, some people are using Amazon Web Services. Some people are using different hosting services and different servers, which are not
Sure.
situated in India. They are situated
Right.
outside the India. And
Right.
I feel government can play an important role by making some laws related to cyber security, because now I think I have heard that Reliance is also working on the servers and big data. Reason being, because they want to keep everything inside the India only. Nowadays, every data is moving outside the India, because majorly we are connected with Facebook or other platforms. So their data centers are outside the India. So
Sure.
it is very difficult for uh, SMEs as well, because they cannot protect their data until, because they are dependent on someone else. They cannot hold everything on their own, because they cannot create every thing on their own, because they are having a limited budget and everything. So I feel that cybersecurity is one of the major aspect that government and people should work on it, because it's
Sumit,
not because. Huh?
yeah. So one particular thing that I want to sort of talk about is, how is it happening in say co-working and and hospitality, and largely because there's a lot of transactional information as well, right? Co-working is relatively new, right? Co-working is a 3-year, 4-year old industry, right? With what's happened, right? Hospitality again, the transition. I mean, it's existed for the longest time, but digital transformation is something that has happened over a period of last aggressively happened over a period of last 3-4 years, right? How is cybersecurity perceived within these two industries? Given you've spent a lot of time in these industries, right? How is cybersecurity perceived, and what are some of the steps that are taken to ensure that one, data privacy is there, second, all transactional information that is there, is secure, right? And there is no leakage of data whatsoever.
So far, I have we have taken few services from different service providers that who can assure us that we can secure your data through by
Sure,
these means. So
sure.
yes, so far they haven't we haven't feel like they have any kind of leakage. We actually trust them, but ultimately we have to depend on it, because we cannot secure everything on my own, because we, until unless we are
Sure,
not a big company. Big
sure.
company can manage their data, but ultimately they are not even secure.
Right. Tanjeet, I am going to move to you, right? And I think what I hear, which is common between what Chander said and what Sumit highlighted, is that it's a massive problem, right? So security, when you sort of hit that, when businesses and promoters chose to sort of adopt technology, right? I think one thing that they needed a lot more hand holding on and a lot of information and insight on, and a lean infrastructure was that around security, right? So how has your team been able to tackle those concerns around and threats around around security while the transformation happened?
So, Ashu, let me answer this question in a way. First, we really need to understand that what are the posture you required on the the cybersecurity perspective,
Sure,
right? So, logically, when you're living in any kind of an apartment, right, you find that there is a security at your main gate, then at your
sure,
tower level, then you put a lock at your main gate, then you move to your bedroom, then you move to
right,
Almira. So everywhere there is a locker, you have created a lock which you have created, right? So
sure,
that's a more
sure,
of a multi-layered, security you have created at your home.
right,
Similarly, when you get into your business as well, you really need to create a multi-layer, kind of a cyber security posture as well, right?
right,
Most of the organization feel that they have put it as security at their gateway level, which we usually call
okay,
it as a firewall, right?
okay,
Then we move towards the device, which is your purely your laptop, right? And that's your the actual device where you're working on it. So
right,
there it is, the security which you really need to put it across. As we most of the the people are working from home. So what
sure,
are the the threats which you usually see that on the cyber crime perspective? One is the fraud. Second is the reputation harm which we feel that. Then we feel that there's a lot of
right,
loss of productivity or
right,
intellectual property which we feel that can be theft, right? So what we have a very simple, and a comprehensive bouquet of cybersecurity which we offer into the market. This has
right,
been there in the global standard kind of a portfolio which we have. One is the
mm-hmm,
endpoint security, which is from Trend Micro.
right,
Second is from the email security or the multi-factor authentication on the web security is there from the Cisco. And
right.
then we also offer a virtual firewall from Palo Alto. So
Oh,
these all
wonderful.
are license based and very much affordable. There is
Right,
not much of the physical infra which has been required you to put it across at your organization level.
right,
So these
right,
can be utilized, and this is, as I said, it's a world class kind of a portfolio which we have from the name which I give it to you. It's very much in a
right,
line. So the
right,
part of which has been there, which I really wanted to put it across, the cyber security strategy, the company should look it out. One is the part of they need to create a secured system. Then
mm-hmm,
also you need to increase your employees' skill set as well. You need to
right,
make them as a partner of your part as well this journey. That was this is the company asset. and you need to get the right set of IT knowledge so that at least if there is any kind of a threat comes across, so probably it can be countered, and there is a lot of boot camps which you can organize from them. Third is the part of you can create your the backup of your data. So if you ask me, if I could create, my daughter uses a lot of TikTok or Reels kind of a scenario, and she keeps a backup of that, right? So that is something very much possible for any of SME or any of the organization to keep the backup of the data. Then, as rightly picked up by the other set of the panelist member, you need to cloud, you need to put the cloud to work. So that is really very important. It is very much economical and affordable in the mid-sized kind of a business today. And then keep on investing in your IT infra. Look, I mean, by just only and installing only a antivirus won't make you suffice the requirement on the cybersecurity perspective, right? You need to keep on understanding that what is the requirement in terms of your business, what is the more secure system you need it, and I would say don't shy away investing in your IT infrastructure. That's the mother of your business. You really need to look at it across, and as in the telco service provider, as I said, we are already diversified, so we are pretty much offering such kind of an offering in the market today on the cyber perspective.
Right. Tanjeet, what I particularly like, and I'm listening to what you're saying, right? And these are issues that we continue to discuss with a lot of businesses that we work with. What I particularly like is the consultative approach that you've taken to this entire thing, right? I mean, the fact that you've broken it down, the fact that it's very suggestive, right? Depending on the nature of the business, depending on the size of the business, and we can choose a lot of piecemeal as per our requirement, and we can sort of graduate to say improved requirements, right? I think is so much more fantastic, right? I want to take a step back, Tanjeet. I want to take a step back, right? And I want you to sort of give a sense of what are some of the other products that you are offering right now, which are largely designed for SMEs, MSMEs.
So, as I said, we are offering the product to all the segments. Whether Mr. Chander, who's been there in the part of the education, we have the product for you. So probably the people who are in the manufacturing side, they need the continuous connectivity. So probably people have the concept and the thought that if we really wanted to connect our multiple offices, we really need to have an MPLS as a solution. We have a solution called Smart VPN as well, where you don't require me to put it across the physical infra at your site. If you have a local service provider internet as well, we can give you MPLS connectivity as well, so that's a more of a secure way to transfer your data as well, right? Another part is on the part of we have launched our product called Smart Flow, where it is for specifically for the contact centers, where they are looking at out any kind of a hosted OBD. Recently the elections has happened in Bengal, so they have been using our hosted OBD services, which has been there to blast the messages into the market, right? If you want to publicize, and this has been getting utilized by a lot of our the government folks as well when they want to put it across any kind of a COVID helpline. Then we also have a product on the part of the HIVR, which is again a part of this. Then we also have a tool free as a service, which is getting publicized. You can give it into the market. And if I'll break it, my product, we have a 42 products into the market today. One is the network side, which is a typical network. Then we also have a plug and play kind of a scenario network now, similarly to voice segment, which is a physical, as well as plug and play, which is also available. Then on the managed services as well, which is again a plug and play, which is available now.
Wonderful. I think that's a large array, Tanjeet, and I'm sure I think what I hear from you and the way I sort of understand it, I think that it's extremely well thought through, and I think a lot of it is a function of how business continues to be intact, right? And I think that's essentially what you're focusing on. I'm going to come to the last question of this session, gentlemen. And my question is that, how do you see this digital transformation going forward, right, within your organization, within your industries, right? I'll start with you, Chander, and I'll come to Mr. Pandey and then to Sumeet.
See, so quite frankly, it's unprecedented times, and I particularly feel that in a lot of the industries, I think digital will become the new norm. In my humble opinion, I think a couple of industries. So if I look at, if I just talk about travel, I think people will start to question the need for every travel, every trip, and they'll say, "Can this be done over Zoom or any
Right.
of those virtual meeting tools?"
Sure.
I think that's going to be a big one. Education, of course, that's close to my heart. That's moving. That's moving. Online, and it's here to stay. I think for next 1 year at least, we're not going to reopen schools. So I think education is moving. Travel probably will be curtailed, and last but not the least, I think look at healthcare. The and it's good for the country, by the way. I think telemedicine or e-health or e-medicine, when was the last time pre-COVID we consulted a doctor on video? Never, probably never, right? But whenever I felt sick during last 1 year, I prefer to talk to them on video, and for non-emergency stuff, and be done with it. So I think these
Wonderful.
3-4 areas I see is going to change for good. Travel being one, education and health, and only one message I would probably for if there are a lot of SMEs who are going to watch this in the audience. I think digital adopt tools quickly. Those are not expensive. Okay, there are a lot of
Right.
plug-and-play solutions like Tanjeet mentioned. I think adopt those very, very quickly.
Sure.
Gone are the days when you had to do a lot of hardware investments, a lot of IT infrastructure investments.
Right.
There are a lot of plug-and-play tools available at a fraction of a cost. Tata Cloud or Amazon might seem expensive. It's not. If you look at from a longer term perspective. So I think digital adoption is in many industries, but these three I think are going to be game changer. And my suggestion to everyone would be adopt it fast before it gets too late.
And I'm sure you resonate the same thing for the founders and entrepreneurs and professionals within the edutech space as well, right? Given that that's
Absolutely.
your primary area of
Yeah,
work. Wonderful,
absolutely.
wonderful. Mr. Pandey, what do you think about digital transformation going forward in the SMEs segment at large, and particularly within the agriculture space, right, which in itself is a massively large, vertical industry?
So, digital way of life is a new way of life. It's a new normal. I can say this is not an option now.
Right,
You have to adapt as quickly as possible.
right,
So I think, and one thing I want to add here, Asu, just for the perspective of users,
sure,
as I always bring users perspective to the fore. See, I know that Tata Tele and all other people are doing their job best. They are taking customer as cloud and everything
right,
needed for cyber security, but is still lot of gap for the security point of view. I mean, you can just say take the example of how much I mean simple layman. I mean, they are being cheated. Big and while they approach certain platform to sell something, to buy something, even not only this, for on behalf of his insurance companies, banks, how, and people are not telling their stories only because of shyness. Huge and huge money are being lost, just like during this pandemic period also. You find that lot of cheaters, lot of money makers, they are minting money on the dead bodies. So same thing happening over and over again. I have seen OLX kind of many cases. You will find how people just they want to go to sell something and they get cheated by lakhs of rupees. And this is something which user perspective I wanted to bring. So cyber security is really very important, so that ultimate end user is not being carried away by someone else who are just having hawkish eyes on the customer's money.
I think I
Thank
think I hear you. I hear you, and I think I completely agree with what you're saying, right? But I think that requires for a very different effort to create digital literacy, right? And I think that's what is really gonna change, these impediments, right? Tanjeet, as we discussed in the earlier point, I think their entire teams are working very hard to create this awareness and, to really sort of get into a consultative mode of ensuring that, organizations go through a, seamless process, of, transformation from whatever they're doing into more, credible, platforms and structures. But I think what you were saying is absolutely correct, and I kind of agree with you. Digital literacy is something that has to be advocated across. And I think Mr. Pandey, people like you, who are sitting at these forums, who are chairing these important forums, have a very large responsibility to play when it comes to advocacy of adoption of digital and literacy around digital, right? Sumit,
Yes.
I'll very quickly come to you for your points on digital transformation in the co-working hospitality sector as an organization and across the sector.
So basically, and digital transformation happens in three parts of any organization. First, cultural, then second, organization, then operational. So digital transformation is not about disruption or technology. It is about value, people, optimization, and capabilities to rapidly adapt the technologies through an intelligent use of tech and information.
Wonderful.
And there cannot be one strategy for to adopt digital transformation, because different organizations have different kind of ecosystem and thereby different
Sure,
needs.
sure.
However, any organization can reach to this frame of digital transformation by asking them three fundamental questions. That is, why do we need to transform? Second, why do we need to what do we need to transform? And then how do we need to transform?
Sure,
And
sure.
importantly, any organization, the main change is that is the organization change, because here the important role is played by the leaders. Reason being, adopting a technology is not an easy for their employees or other workforce, right? So to making them or encouraging them or acknowledging their fear that they are not this adoption is not going to change their replace them. It is for enhance their capabilities. So this is the main aspect. And as far as like it is when it is when it concerned to our hospitality or co-working space, we have identified the through this means that where we need to change. So we have adopted the technology according to that. Like we need to like we have identified that there should be due to this pandemic, people are afraid of touching anything. So we need to create something they don't afraid. So so we are
Wonderful.
like creating such product that okay, so if they want to communicate something, they don't need to depend on the landline. So because phone is the only thing which is very handy to them and which is completely personal to them.
Sumit,
So we
Sumit,
are getting the
that's absolutely a great point that you mentioned. I think gentlemen, I am running out of time for this particular session. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and being part of this absolutely phenomenal discussion on digital transformation. Right. I want to thank you all. Chander, I think the perspective that you gave on education and how education, one as an organization, your organization, and as an industry, how they've imbibed this transformation. They were pushed to, and they've adopted it beautifully. Is such a good example of how organizations can become agile and can accept technology when they are when there's a when they're needed to, right. It's a fantastic thing. Mr. Pandey, thank you so much. I think what you gave us is a perspective of SMEs. What you gave a perspective of is agriculture, right? And I think what you also highlight, which I'm particularly is something that I very feel very strongly about, is digital literacy, right? And I think unless that happens, a large part of adoption will continue to be it'll not be coherent, right?
Yes.
Uh, Sumit, what you highlighted is a lot of experiential side understanding, right? A lot of touch and feel aspect. How technology at a consumer level can make things so much more easier, right? And not be very very threatening, right? They can be so much more easier, right? Within the existing ecosystem of hardware, we can have the best of solutions, right? Tanjeet, how you've highlighted in terms of a variety of case studies, the product range that you have, and how consultative sales can really handhold businesses into a smooth transition from how they operate into being a technology driven enterprise has been absolutely fantastic. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to have you with us. It's been an extremely learning session. I would like to call upon Tanjeet to do a word of thanks. Tanjeet, over to you.
Thank you, Ashu. It was really nice to interact with all the fellow panelists and with you, and a lot of great insights being given by the Mr. Pandey, Mr. Chander, and Mr. Sumeet. And there's a lot of diversification was being there from the different industry, and that's great to hear. And probably that would help us with the certain insight being given, and what are the demands from the respective industry as well. Surely we'll try to see that how much we can move ahead in that perspective, right? And with that, would like to thank all of you. Just stay safe, stay healthy, and we being the essential service provider in the market. So you ask us, we are very much available for anything else for your support. Right? Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Wonderful. Bye bye.
Thank you.